Reason number 46 to get a Nissan. Features, especially the ones you get with the 2025 Nissan Kicks Play. Integrated Apple CarPlay, a spacious interior, advanced safety features, and more room in your budget. Because it's the most affordable new vehicle in Quebec. Get the 2025 Nissan Kicks Play S from only $22,774, including a $2,600 cash purchase bonus. Visit your Nissan dealer today. Until March 2nd, conditions apply. Details at Nissan.
And today's In Transit heads in and around Trudeau Airport. Now, Montrealers fed up with airplane noise are making their voices heard. Citizens Group has launched a petition to block the expansion of Montreal-Trudeau Airport. They cite concerns over increased noise pollution. And with the federal election on the horizon sometime, maybe sooner than later, they're calling on Ottawa to address the issue. Joined in studio now by Pierre Lachapelle. He's president of Les Pollués de Montréal-Trudeau. Pierre,
good morning.
Welcome. Good morning to you. So tell me about it. Where do you live, by the way? Tell our listeners where you live.
I live in Huntsic.
Huntsic? Or in the path of these flights?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about a day in the life of Pierre in Huntsic and the noise.
Well, it's hundreds of airplanes flying over at low altitude. And it's not only Huntsic, it's Villeray, the northern part of town of Montreal, St. Laurent. And also on the west side, Pointe-Claire and Dorval.
Yes. And
so
we hear from all of them, by the way. We hear from everyone on the subject, yeah.
That's a huge number of citizens living with discomfort of the noise, not speaking of air pollution.
Now, why don't you tell our listeners, if Trudeau Airport got their way, if they could do everything they wanted, what would the change be? How would things change from present day?
Well, what they plan and what they said at two times in 2018 and this last April, they want to build a new building. They just call it an extension, but it's frankly a new building that will be in the middle of the airline strip, but we'll have to see where they will fix it. Yep. And it will provide 10 more gates for the service or airplanes. You have to add that to all the extension they realized since 1992. So they closed Mirabel, though that means that we have two airports in Dorval, and then with 10 more gates, it's a third the terminal that adds up. Yeah. That's too much and too many noise for Montrealers.
What do you think the other options are? Trudeau, Mirabel Airport closed long ago. Steven Spielberg did a movie there, and that's the last time we heard of Mirabel Airport. What are the other options? Because people, Pierre, you know this. People are flying more than ever. Yeah. They want to fly more. So what are the options?
We don't possess the absolute truth about this subject. And I think it needs to be done with transparency and accountability. So a public debate is necessary. But obviously, Dorval was good for small town like Montreal in the 60s. But now we are a metropolis with 3-4 million people. Dorval is not, will never be up to answer the needs for a good life in Montreal.
And Pierre, I think we were talking before we got on air here. Someone born and raised in Montreal, a Huntsic. You've lived there your whole life. Yeah. You've seen the growth, right? So, and let me give you that point. Maybe Trudeau Airport, it can't expand. Like, you know what? It's not meant to be an airport that gets any bigger. So where do we go? I know St. Hubert, they've got a little bit of an airport. Where do you think we go? What are the options?
People on the South Shore have the same problem than we have with the noise and air pollution from airlines. I think the equipment, the airstrip is still there. Unfortunately, they demolish a fine building in Mirabel, but the control tower is still there. I think as Mirabel should be the option.
Another attempt at making Mirabel a thing.
But we know what was missing, so we know the first thing to do is to bring a rail service to that territory, and maybe also think about Highway 13. But first of all, bring public transit to the airfield.
What do you say to someone who says, you know what, Pierre? You live in a Huntsic, and that's just how it is. Or someone who lives in Dorval. Hey, you live in Dorval. You know what's next to Dorval. It's the airport. live with it. What do you say to that?
That's what we hear most of the time, even on the social media.
Yes.
People want to shut up our mouth, but we have to recall the history. And in the 70s, the federal government decided to bring a brand new and state-of-the-art modern airport in Mirabel. Mm-hmm. So people continue to build home in Montreal because they knew that in the future, all the flights should go out of Montreal. So the rules of the game have been changed with the privatization of the management of Aéroport de Montréal. They have a full carnet of blank check in their hands, and unfortunately, our MP in Ottawa, when we call on them, it's a denial, but it's their responsibility. Airline and air transportation is the first responsibility of the federal government, and they should care about our quality of life and our health.
So let me ask you, what are you asking Montrealers this morning? Tell me about your petition. And for anyone who's listening, I got a listener sending me a text message. Hey, don't forget Beaconsfield. We have to deal with it too. Since 2022, they write, we've had so many low-flying jets that we can hear through all of our closed windows, even while we're in the basement. So what's your ask of people who are affected, and maybe those who just feel for you? What should they be doing now? Tell me about the petition.
Our petition is on a website named Lead Now with the keywords no new terminal in Montréal-Trudeau. They should find the good petition. People could also go on the internet with our website, Les Pollués de Montréal-Trudeau. That's lpdmt.org.
Okay.
And on our first, the homepage, there is a link for the petition. And in the coming weeks or months, if there is a federal election, and there will be one in 2025, well, I ask the people to speak out to their MP and put pressure that they come to the table, and at least in the meantime, because you don't go to Mirabel in a claquement de doigts, we need to have a curfew. That's the main goal of the Pollués de Montréal-Trudeau since 2013. And there has been, and I have the proof of that, there has been a curfew since the coming of a jet plane in Dorval.
So I've heard about they want to make them go. They start earlier and end later, right? Is that what
and
they
that's the curfew has been été grugé like a mouse in a piece of cheese. So. But there has been a curfew, even if the representative of Aéroport de Montréal still say there was never a curfew. We have the proof from document from the Canadian archives and what was going on in the cabinets at that period.
You know, I'm just going to say, it seems logical that there's a curfew, right? If for people living next to, they 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, clearly there's got to be a type of curfew.
Frankfurt Airport in Germany, a great and a huge airport, has a curfew. San Diego in the United States, Zurich in Switzerland. So are we stupid in Montreal? I don't think so.
A lot of people have that question. I'll let our listeners know that website again, LPDMT. LPDMT, Les Pollués de Montréal-Trudeau .org is the website. Well, Pierre, listen, good luck in your fight.
Thank you.
I don't know how it'll go, but I do wish you good luck in your fight.
Thank you very much.
That's Pierre Lachapelle. He's president of Les Pollués de Montréal-Trudeau.